Gaige. Gaige, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do for Star Citizen?
So I am the tech artist for the character team. In simplest terms, I basically take all the beautiful things that the character team makes and make them move a bowl and get them in game.
Anything else?
There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. A lot of R&D testing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you remember when you helped with the April Fool's gag like 2 years ago?
Oh yeah.
You did that. You did the Big Benny's thing for
Coordinator of the Big Benny's dance and
That was a long
delivery
time
man.
ago.
That was a long time ago.
Such a long time.
Yeah, it's just on my mind because
Bringing back good memories. Yeah.
it's almost April Fool's. So. Okay, Jeremiah.
Hi.
I'm just deciding to do this like the McLaughlin group. I'm going to be like, next up, Jeremiah Lee, character concept artist. Tell us, what do you do for Star Citizen?
Oh, I almost had that brain fart moment again. My name is Jeremiah Lee. I'm the senior concept artist here in the Los Angeles studio, and I concept out characters, clothing, alien, etc. Anything that have to do with living beings. Question mark?
What about the non-living beings?
Do you remember when you appeared on Citizens of the Stars Quantum Questions and you forgot your name? Remember the first question was, what's your name? What do you do? And you forgot your name?
You got it this time.
Yeah, but you
got it
stumbled
this
again
time.
at the beginning.
No, I almost stumbled.
Okay. And last, but certainly not least, character art director Josh Herman.
Yes.
Who are you? What do you do?
Josh Herman, character art director. My job is basically to oversee the character team from concept to implementation. So anything that you see that moves around typically, anything that's character related, armor, clothes, costumes, that's kind of my domain.
Okay. And do you remember on that happy hour when you made a big spider crotch
heard of
and
it.
zoomed right into it? And
Never happened.
Nope, didn't happen.
I don't know. Once I started with the "Do you remember this?" I just figured I'd continue it.
That's good.
I have highly oxygenated blood today. All right, so subscribers edition, reverse the verse. We've got members of our character team here to answer questions about all things related to bringing characters to life. Because it is a subscribers edition, this is the show once a month where we take questions exclusively from our subscribers. So if you want to submit your question for consideration here with the team, go to robertspaceindustriescom/spectrum. And you can drop yourself into the subscribers channel, and that's where you post your question. Please preface your question with the word question in capital letters, surrounded by brackets. It's going to help our community management team pull them out from all the other conversation. And if you aren't a subscriber, consider becoming one. robertspaceindustries.com/pledge/subscriptions, or just ask somebody else, hey, are you a subscriber? And pump my question or whatever. However you want to get your question in there, man. You do you. All right, now we did pre-game some questions. We put a thread up in the subscribers forum section of Spectrum for the people who couldn't be here live. And then that also gave people the additional ability to vote up which questions they wanted to see answered most. So we're going to start right now with the most voted up question. Just get it right out of the way.
Great.
Will we see any alien-inspired human armor and clothes like we have alien-inspired hybrid ships? So what they're talking about now here is that obviously we have in the game the Xi'an Scout, the Vandal Blade, and the Scythe, and the Glaive, the Banding Merchantman. He said Merchantman. Have we considered doing something similar for our player armors?
Yeah, we have. I would say absolutely. We've been kind of thinking about some more recent ideas, which are a little more off the wall actually than what you've been thinking about, or we're mentioning. So maybe from aliens or things that you haven't encountered we haven't talked about yet. But yes, we will definitely be doing armors based off of other races.
Really? Are there aliens I don't know about?
Oh.
Are there aliens I don't know about?
Oh, do tell.
I'm going to get grilled later. Jared's going to come by and be like, oh, tell me about all these.
No, hold on. Nobody can hear if I do this. Tell me, what are we talking about, Josh?
Yes.
All right.
But yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, I think it would be a great. I think it would be obviously, anybody who's been on a tour of the Los Angeles studio has seen the fashion wall in the character team, all those different sketches. I mean, if I don't know if maybe this is the best way to say it, but when we're all said and done, this is going to be the best game version of Barbie dress up. I think ever. Star Citizen, all the work that you guys are doing, the customization that you're giving to our characters,
I feel like
is one of the most exciting aspects of this project for me.
I feel like it's gonna be Mr. Potato Man though.
Mr. Potato Man?
Mr. Potato Head. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Potato Man.
Yeah, Mr. Potato Man.
It's not. That's
yeah. Oh my.
Hold on, JJ, give me Jeremiah's camera.
Oh no.
Mr. Potato Man. Look at the camera.
I just lost all my nerd
Gentlemen.
cred. I'm sorry.
But yeah, we're definitely thinking about that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And it's gonna be, yeah, I think the part of our customization system is we're able to do a lot of different things. Like, you know, we can pretty much do anything we want. There's limitations to like certain sizes and shapes, but other than that, like the actual content we put in can be pretty much whatever.
Like a human dressed like a Banu, maybe. Or...
Like in his skin.
No, like Benny Rose. Like when you show
Please, can we?
water.
Let me concept it, Josh. Let me concept it.
Yes, you don't
Unleash
know.
me.
That's what the Titan armor is. You guys have got had it way off this entire time. It's actually crawling inside a giant Banu. Never mind. Let's see. Let's see if we got a question from the live chat. Tyler Nolan. First question Tyler Nolan sends me from this subscriber chat. Will we eventually be able to choose Jared's pre-3.0 beard in the character customizer?
Oh wow.
Please.
Oh,
No.
yes.
That beard shall never return. He
Unattainable.
brought it back once.
I don't know what you're talking
Only
about.
return.
I was never there. I don't know what you're talking about.
But that does lead us into something. We do have in the first iteration of the character customizer coming through. We do have the Ricky.
The Ricky,
The
yeah.
Ricky. We do have the Ricky.
Yeah, we do.
Talk about the Ricky for a second.
The Ricky was basically, you know, like whenever you work internal versus external, you can name things differently. So I think I had found, we were looking for hairstyles and I had found a style that was very similar to Ricky's, and I was just like, oh, I'll put it up as the Ricky. And you normally when you go through something, it may just say like, I don't know, like some of our assets are like Marine 1, and then when it goes into the game, it's got a cool name. Here it was like Ricky, and they just kept it as Ricky, which is fine. Like it's a.
Can we put a picture of
For
Ricky
the
Gently
longest
on the
time,
screen?
he didn't know.
No, I don't think
And
we
then
knew
he found
for a
out
while.
when it came. Yeah.
We actually don't have that.
So yeah.
But you can find a picture of Ricky Jelly. He has.
Can't miss it.
You know, there's a lot of talk about Brian Chambers' hair. There's a lot of talk about Brian Chambers, and Brian Chambers' hair will definitely go into the game. I'm already saying that. They don't know. I'm committing us to that right now.
Oh boy.
Oh
boy.
Sorry, Chris. But I don't think Ricky Jelly's hair gets nearly enough mention.
It gets
for
bigger
everybody
every
to
time I
talk
see it.
about. It's amazing.
It's a sentient creature.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It just.
Yes. Ricky Jelly is a symbiont. There's Ricky and then there's Jelly.
Yeah.
Jelly is
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that. Well done.
The
It's a
Jelly.
good color, the Jelly. Yeah. All right. Going back to the Spectrum thread where folks submitted questions all week and voted. Will clothes impact characters beyond cosmetic? Having more pockets allows us to carry more items. Having more dense clothing acts like some kind of armor. Having more or less clothes, he just went on and on. He actually put an ellipsis, like he knew he wasn't done, and he just put an ellipsis at the end there. So, will clothes impact characters beyond cosmetic?
Yeah, they will and they can. Even with our current, like let's talk about the armor we have right now, the light, medium, and heavy. Each one of those allows for different ports. So I was going to have Gaige speak about item ports, but generally what it means is you can put on more stuff. But if you wanted to talk about that for a bit.
Oh, sure. And also this goes heavy into design too, which is kind of outside of our team. A lot of what we'll do is implement what design wants to do with these clothing or armors, and then we kind of make that happen. So like he said with item ports or even maybe speed variations, like in this one it says speed, so if you have certain armors, obviously you're not going to run as fast, or maybe it'll be like an enhanced armor, maybe you could run faster. And especially with clothing. I think another point in there was, can you put weapons on these clothing, things like that? That's all part of that.
Different question.
Oh, it is. I mean, they're very similar. Okay. Later. But yeah, so absolutely, clothing will affect you. How drastic that will be, I think, is still
That's up to debate
in the
still,
works. Yeah. We test it out.
But yeah, there's nothing that stops you from putting, you know, essentially having your clothes have stats,
Yeah.
letting you put other things on top of your clothes.
Which is currently in the game. How far we take that, though, is still being progress.
Capes?
Always capes.
Yep. We have capes. KSAR has capes. Yeah.
That's true.
We have
The
two
Sand
capes,
Nomad has kind of a
Totally.
We have another-
capey drape.
You have capes on top of capes.
We have another cape in the works.
Prepare yourself.
That's a hot topic.
It is a hot topic because I keep bringing it up.
A lot of people seem to not like capes.
There's ever
I
since
love
that
capes.
Incredibles movie, there's been this easy, low-effort debate.
no capes go
Yeah,
Yeah.
but let's be fair. That
So
was
low
actually
effort.
that was also that was in Watchmen.
Fair enough, yeah.
I think it was the dollar bill gets caught in a door.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
So, capes are dangerous.
I appreciate you bringing Watchmen into the show.
Thanks.
I appreciate that. That's Josh Herman.
I love capes.
Josh Herman. Good man.
I like to live my life on the edge.
Going back to the live chat, this is probably more a tech card thing, but any plans to have hair or facial hair grow over time?
Ooh.
Oh God.
We've thought about that. It's
So
a tough
elder
one.
players get the elder beard, like a lifetime subscriber, they get the Jared beard. I don't know.
We've thought about the challenge for it is actually generally across our game, one of the problems, it's not really a problem, but it is a problem that we have within the characters is fidelity. So to make hair that looks good, like I don't think the hair that we have in the character creator looks great yet, I'll be totally honest with you, but to make something that's gonna look good in multiple states is really difficult. And whereas maybe you could do something where it's a gradiating on a ramp and it slowly reveals more of what the style would be, you could do things, or maybe the cards slowly stretch over time, you could do something, but it gets really difficult to make it look consistently good.
Quality control.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something we can do, and it's something we might explore, but right now it's not top priority.
Now you mentioned the character customizer. Now we've got a feature coming in ATV in like 3 weeks on the character customizer, so we're not going to go into too much detail on the customizer because we got a whole feature that we're put together. We got interviews with you guys and other people, and it's all there. But the character customizer is one of the bigger features that's rolling out with Alpha 3.1. Alpha 3.1, which is currently available to all backers on the PTU right now. So if you are a Star Citizen backer, you can access 3.1 right now on the PTU as our teams around the world are working to bring it to life. The character customizer that's in 3.1 is the first iteration. I mean, it is the it is not the end. It is not the goal. Let's talk just a little bit about why this version is what it is in the game right now.
Sure. I would treat it as, a classic alpha, a 0.1 kind of thing. We've talked about many times DNA and questions like that. Or features like that. And I think the challenge is there's a lot of work that goes into that, not just on the art side, but also on the technical side, on the optimization side. How heavy is it to run something like that? There's network issues now where somebody goes across. Like, I don't want to talk about that too much because that's just explaining some of the issues we have to work through. But it speaks to, do we as a company providing for the backers and fans and players wait for all that to come out so we can roll it out as one big thing, or do we get some easy wins out of the way and say, you know what, this isn't the final that we want it to be, but it's enough that we can start fulfilling and playing, also learning for ourselves. Like, if we were to roll out the final iteration, maybe there would be a lot of problems we could catch early on. So releasing those early is better.
And this is in line with a lot of what Chris was saying last week with our Alpha 3.2 reprioritization that we're doing with the feature survey and everything. Sometimes you can get a little too tunnel focused on new features at the expense of the current gameplay experience. So a lot of what we're doing right now is taking kind of a step, not a step back, but maybe a step to the side and doing some additional work on the current gameplay experience. And one of those easy things, well, I shouldn't say easy, but one of the neat things that we can do to make the current experience more enjoyable is something like this character customizer, this V01 version, just so we're not all looking at the same cue balls.
You get a chance to customize a little bit.
And what advantages does that give to us? Is this just something that a bone that we throw to the backers, or is there some advantage to us we get by having this V01?
Definitely an advantage in terms of seeing some problems early that we solve now. Like the next scene, this kind of happened when we went over this a little bit in the interviews, but the next scene problem, while we could have solved it later, finding it now allowed us to then solve problems on the female as well. And then the techniques to solve that will be carried over, and they're already, we know what to do. So going forward, when we have more assets, more aliens maybe, we know how to solve this problem.
And even like also, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's a lot easier to fix problems on the base level instead of when we release the full product and you have a multiple amount of stuff, we're gonna be like, I don't know where to put things, I don't know what's causing this issue. But when we start off with a small package, you can start focusing on those base issues, and then we just stack on top of it. So it's like a smoother transition to the final product.
Yeah, it's building blocks. And it's building blocks for a lot of things, everything from the items to how the items interplay, making sure that you're seeing other people's characters in the same way that you're seeing your own. We're looking at things like icons, we're looking at UI, So it's building not just on like getting that small thing, but it's a bigger set of things.
And the entitlement tech too.
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot of that out of the way, which is really nice.
Persistence, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that happen.
Doing that on the small side was much better.
Yeah, so this little V01 implementation actually has a lot of advantages on to ourselves on the back end.
Yeah, so it's not just an art thing at all.
Yeah.
All right, follow-up question from the live chat. The character customizer doesn't allow us to be bald.
Yeah.
Are we so tired of bald player characters?
We need a break every now and then.
No, you have to have hair. Will we eventually allow our players to be bald?
Yeah, we will.
Okay. You guys-
Actually, as an Easter egg too, there is a certain combination of things you can put on currently that will eventually make you bald.
Oh,
Good luck
wow.
finding it.
Oh, wow.
Well, with Easter
Really?
right around the corner, there's your Easter egg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
for everybody.
I just want a clan of people just bald who
All the
found
baldies,
it,
yeah.
and they're just like in a circle, just like,
Going back to the thread, will there be the ability to wear clothing over a flight suit or light armor when carrying only a sidearm? Basically, like what they want to do here is put a duster over like
Yeah,
light
duster and stuff.
armor.
Right now, no, because of the way that the system is set up, like the way that it's kind of the hierarchy of where items live. We could potentially build one that's specifically for armor, but it would be difficult to transition its states.
It'd be so big. Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe an ultra light classification of armor that's designed.
Yeah, it depends on what the base
to,
model
to,
would
to,
be.
to fit under stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we could potentially find a way to make it work on certain sizes. So like you're saying, light armor, but no medium armor.
Undersuits maybe because we have the Atom suit.
Undersuits, we could probably
brings options.
do pretty easily. It's just,
The heavy.
Armored T-shirt. We need to choose like an art, like mithril T-shirt. There you go. Now you've got armor underneath your.
but it is something. I mean, I think a lot of people want that. We're just trying to figure out how to do it, how to do like a lot of those, the rule of cool things. How do we do those things without sacrificing having to make a ton of assets, a ton of work to support it?
I mean, also just like, I understand a duster on top of the armor thing. It looks cool in our heads, but then when we're making an MMO, we have to make sure that duster fits on all the armors in
That's
that
what falls apart,
category,
yeah.
right?
That's
When things start to
It's
get a little
it's
strange.
the bounty hunter class in Star Wars, the Old Republic. I find that pushed that aesthetic very far. The armor over the
Right.
jacket over.
Yeah.
But imagine
It's a great
making-
look. I love the look.
Imagine if we had to make a duster for every single asset.
OMC heavy?
Just one. Oh my God, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. Yep. All right. General question here. I'm curious what your answer is going to be. What is the most interesting concept that you're working on at the moment that you can actually tell us about?
Jeremiah, go
For you to be
Oh,
whatever we're
God.
working on that you could, most interesting to you.
That.
Your question is, you're looking at each other. trying to-
Remember that this is the talkie show, so we're not actually showing it out. So it's okay to
You
say
can
you're
say
working
some
on.
things.
Some things.
I've been working on the Titan suit.
Yeah, so I did spend time working on the Titan suit, like
Yeah.
the movement.
Requirements, the abilities, what it can do, what it can't do.
I think you've been working on some very cool stuff for our favorite adversarial alien race.
Oh, I can't say. I can't say. So I have been working a lot on the Vandul, just different variants of it, what the culture is of the Vandul. We all know generally what they look like, but what are they kind of, what the culture is.
Fleshing it out a lot more.
Yeah.
And with concepts, as any subscriber, if you're a subscriber, you can go to your subscriber vaults and you can see a variety of concepts for a lot of things, for different ships and whatnot, that don't actually ever make it into the game. A big part of the concepting phase is not just finding the things you do want; it's discovering the things that you don't want.
Yeah.
So one of the things, a lot of the stuff, I'll go by Jeremiah's desk, and I'll say this so that if we get in trouble, it's on me. Okay. But I see him working on a fat vandal. Again, there's no guarantee it's going to make it into the game. It's an exploration, and I always thought, like, wow, that's a fat vandal. I've never.
Yeah.
It's just you never think about it. I've been living with Vandal for over 3 years now, and I never once considered a fat Vandal.
Sometimes when you're going through the concepting and ideation process, no's are way more important than yeses.
Yeah.
Because it pushes you in a direction.
Yeah. Sometimes, and Chris is an incredibly visual person, so sometimes he needs to see something before he knows he doesn't want it. So at least that's my experience on this half of the thing. Sometimes we have to show him a thing before he goes, no, I don't want that. So
I mean, for concept, what I like to view it like, it's not just, hey, make this suit, and I just make one suit. I like to cast a wide net, come up with, I normally do like, I think this is what Josh wants, or this is what Chris wants, and then I tweak it a little bit further, and then I go toward Crazy Town. Normally on the third or fourth iteration of it, it's normally like, what about this crazy bug-like looking thing, right? And then sometimes Josh and Chris, like, that's the one. I was like, oh, really? Okay. but like, I like to cast a general net so that Josh and Chris would have like multiple options. And if they like one idea, I'd be like, that's a really cool idea, and they'll flesh it out even further. So my job is to present options. So that's why the Fat Vandal, I don't know.
I don't know, maybe. For everybody in Twitch chat going, thick Vandal confirmed.
Jesus Christ.
No, that's not how concept works. What about you, Gaige? I know you don't work in concept, but...
Well, clearly, they just don't accept my designs.
Well, you did concept the Big Benny uniform for the April Fool's gag 2 years ago.
So actually, for the things that I'm working on, it's sort of on the back burner, but the cow creature from Hurston.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not high priority, but I like to work on that whenever I get a chance, and that one's fun because it's just like jiggly and full of eggs and stuff. It's not pleasant to look at.
I remember it was Shane that did that one.
Yes, correct.
What he's talking about, if you want to go back and check out our CitizenCon presentation where we went down to the surface of Hurston, we showed two creatures. One that everybody always shows, the really cool kind of floating blob Zyphopod. But there was also this giant what do you call that? Cow creature thing.
Grazing creature.
The grazing creature that I just remember going by Shane's desk, every couple of days and seeing him work on it, and then he put it in Skype that one day.
It was massive.
People were a little savage to him about it. But I thought it was cool. You want to see that kind of variety in creatures, and ultimately it made the demo. So, and of course you can look forward to more of Hurston according to our roadmap later this year. So, let's see, what else do we got from the thing? Somebody asked, now this was a question from the thread, it's actually not appropriate for this group, but I'm going to address it because I happen to know the answer. One of the questions that was voted up was, what is the status of face over IP? I can tell you that face over IP as a technology is done. It's ready, it's ready to be implemented. It just has dependencies that it has to wait on. There are UI dependencies, there's no front end for actually using it. If you saw any of our behind the, or if you were at CitizenCon last year and you got to see the demo, it's a lot of console commands and everything to get it going. So UI's got to design an entire front end for it. It sits on top of the voice over IP system, which still it was just still being worked on and not online and stuff like that. So it's got a number of dependencies, but itself as a tech is ready to go. It's just waiting for its time, waiting for its moment to shine once again. All right, next question from the live chat. You knew this was gonna come. Status on the female model?
The female model itself is done. A lot of the assets and clothes for it are already done. We're just kind of waiting to make sure that everything else that is dependent on it, like you're saying, dependencies is a big part of it. So you're talking about animations and things like that, and AI and all these other areas that the female is going to have to be. That's a big part of it. So we're on the character or general team side. What we're trying to make sure is that whenever everything else is ready to go, that we can have as much one-to-one that the male will have. So if you're buying shirts, or you're buying clothes, you're buying armor, or whatever it is that you're getting, that you have the same equivalent for the female. So we're still, like Gaige was saying earlier, problems that we've figured out on the customizer for the male, we're obviously going to start addressing for the female, and we already have. But yeah, we're just kind of gearing up and making sure that we're ready when it's released, that it's got a full suite of stuff with it.
Another question from the live chat. How do you work around the single body type constraint when designing characters?
That's a good one.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's a good one.
You want to answer that one?
I'm going to get something to drink. You guys
Sure.
can be on this first.
So, single body type. I mean, silhouettes is the biggest thing for me, right? So you can do a lot of crazy things with just different kinds of silhouettes. But like, we also have to consider movement of the anatomy of the body. So we can't just go crazy, right? So it's a lot of research and try to stay away from generic reference like body armor, right? Just be like, oh, I'm just going to do another body, and like getting references from outside sources like maybe nature or just some weird pattern that you've seen as an inspiration to come up with new shapes. But for me, it's silhouette is the biggest driving force for me to come up with different ideas on the human body. And you can come up with some crazy, crazy things. And then normally when I do something crazy, I walk over to Gaige's desk and apologize to him.
Just gotta shake my head.
And just feel like, I'm sorry, you gotta rig this, man. It's like, you gotta skin it, so be ready.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, what you're talking about is designing armors and clothes that change the silhouette of the same static character model that we've got.
Yeah.
So in order to provide the appearance of variety.
Right.
You know, within, all right.
The armors do a great job of that, especially when you go from like light, or actually let's just say the base male to light medium, and then you go to heavy. Like there's some intense shape changes that still work pretty well. Yeah, very interesting.
And how frustrating is that for you?
Yeah, it's. Yeah. It takes some time, but
If it's like super simple, Gaige is like, it's all right.
Yeah.
And the thing I really appreciate about Gaige is because you rigged the heavy Marine.
yeah, that thing
The very
physically does
first
not make
one.
any sense. Yeah,
The first one. And I remember when
no,
that asset was being passed to
most
Gaige.
things
Views and opinions of Gaige Hallman do not reflect those of Planet Games, Robert Space Industries, or its subsidiaries.
But this is with almost all sci-fi things. Like if you really think about it, like no way, it's all metal moving around. How does that happen? Doesn't actually matter.
Science.
Yeah, science, future science, dude.
Yeah, space
Crazy
science.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good thing though.
But the thing I love about Gaige is he's always like a go-getter type of like personality, where he's just like, all right, I'll try, and then he really goes at it. And
Yeah, that looks
he's
good.
he's done a lot of successful skins and rigs for it. So
And they've worked together with me on that very well. So like usually I'll go back a little bit of feedback and be like, okay, we can kind of make this work. We just need a little push right here. We get some overlapping in the middle, and then it all comes together. And honestly, it's a great learning experience. Even like when you work on things that shouldn't work, that's when you kind of learn the most, I think.
And then you make them work, and you figure out ways to make them work. So
And then you make it look good. And it's just like, man, this is great.
yeah.
Going back to the thread here, what is the status of the DNA blending of characters that allows infinite variations of how we look in the game? I don't know if it's infinite. So
Actually, I want to mention on the infinite. It's like infinite in the amount that there's only a certain amount of decimals you can break down per blending between characters. So a lot.
A lot.
It's actually 2.30 point.
But what this question is referring to is we have demonstrated on ATV, and I think one of our presentations.
We've shown off the DNA blending.
Yeah,
Cool, so we can talk about it, okay.
the type of DNA. What we want to do is we want to be able to, through sliders and everything, be able to take many of our face rigs and kind of morph between those. That is still ultimately the goal.
Absolutely. Like that tech is already in, and we're just kind of experimenting with a lot of different ways to implement it, how we want to implement it. Even, for example, on the one problem that we encountered with DNA or using something like DNA is all the different kind of face shapes you can make. And not meaning like open and closed face shapes, but like everybody has their own head shape, everybody has their own skull shape. So now when we're talking about things like in the creator or in your PMA, like putting on different helmets, different heads don't fit in different helmet sizes. Or if you put one hair on top of a head, it might look good, and other ones it will clip through or look bad.
Glasses was an interesting one.
Glasses
Yes,
is
and
another
they started to
problem.
morph, on the face.
So
They actually
how do
did
you
a
fix
pretty good
that,
solution to
right?
solve that.
Yeah, we
Talk about
have
that later,
we have
actually.
we have a segment on the solution coming, so we don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
There's
Yeah,
cool
we'll get to
stuff
it.
about that.
You want visuals for that. It's
Yeah.
not that I'm trying to hide information.
No,
you
not
want
at all.
visuals on the fixes.
It's really
Because
cool.
The thing that they have done to fix that allows the DNA, all the head shaping, and allows the helmets to kind of low key adjust to the different head shapes, and allows like snow goggles to not the stuff that they've done to come to fix that. You want the visuals.
That breakdown's gonna
I
be
just don't
cool.
I
want
was
to
keeping the face jiggles when you swap the faces and stuff.
Jiggle?
Like when you change the face, I've noticed if you look carefully, like you make a bigger jaw and the lower
Oh, the
fat
jowl.
it just goes like, and the cheeks like.
That's just you. That's just
Oh, it's just me.
That's just your monitor.
All right, all right, I liked it.
I think when you change between faces, it should have the Martin Short, Robert Picardo effect from Inner Space when he does that. like that animation should go every time you change faces in the character. Great.
I can't wait for someone to
And
implement
I'm
that.
going to write up the blue sheet on this. I'm just going to add it as a JIRA. I'm not
That's
even,
great.
It's just when you see that JIRA come, you know what
know
that
where
is.
it came
Sign it
from.
directly to Sean.
It's just
I
yes,
approve.
we'll sign it directly to
I
Sean.
approve.
And you have Inner Space facial. Inner Space.
The DNA's going great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just has encountered a lot of problems, and
Yeah.
not problems, but technical problems.
With
technical
cost
issues.
too. CPU cost to make it
Oh,
efficient
costs,
is the biggest thing probably
Yeah,
at the moment.
exactly.
Don't want to slow people down.
Yeah.
All right, from the live thread here, for someone studying 3D animation and modeling, or for someone studying 3D animation and modeling, okay, so I gotta reword this. This might be English as a second language here. Is 3D animation and modeling experience necessary for a 3D character artist to have enough anatomy skills, or just focus on clothing depending on the character? Basically, they want to know what kind of prerequisites to be a 3D character artist. Are you looking?
Gotcha. I think the question I would break into two sections. First, if you want to be a character artist, and second, if you want to be a concept artist. Concept artist is mostly dealing in just the visual side, so just going to be doing stuff like potentially a 2D painting, so you're not going to need to know necessarily how it moves. You're not going to have to know as much on the 3D side. Obviously, if you do, it's really helpful, like Jeremiah does, and he can get into 3D and block stuff out, and that's great.
So you don't create nightmares for him.
Yes, exactly. And then if you want to be a character artist, you absolutely need to know, modeling stuff. Knowing anything about animation is going to be helpful, because that's basically one of the next teams that your work will go to. So yeah, I think those are, depending on the job that they're shooting for, the requests or requirements are different.
Because there is a way to model it very responsibly, like adding a lot of polygons in areas where it doesn't need that much. Like for instance, like you would need a lot of geo right here because there's a lot of movement right here. But then putting a lot of geo, maybe let's say for here, where there's not as much movement, that would be very irresponsible. So knowing where to place polygons is very important.
That's an important skill in every aspect of game development.
Yeah.
There was a version of the Freelancer, not the version
Oh,
of the
no, I know what you're
Freelancer
talking about.
that's there, but
Yep.
remember the one that had all the tiny little rivets?
Every screw
Yeah.
was 900 polygons.
Every single rivet in the Freelancer was 900 polys. It had a bigger resource footprint than the Idris.
Wow.
That Freelancer did. So yeah, so when people,
Ships have come a long way.
yeah, so we were learning how to build ships. We were learning how to build
Also, that was,
one ship.
yeah, that was more of like an alpha ship, because just to shorten the process of what happened there, literally the concept art was taken and put it into the game
Yeah.
for, alpha purposes.
So yeah, so when you wonder why the hangars used to just stretch and allow all these ships, and we'd have people with I got 6 Freelancers, and the game would just go.
Yeah.
We had a door that was 1 million polys before, like
Oh, that door's famous.
long time ago. 1 million polys for a
ZBrush
single door.
to game.
And there was like 4 doors. There was 4 doors in the level.
Wow.
So 4 million polys.
Actually, so to break down what we're talking about too, what Jeremiah was mentioning with the flow of polygons and geometry, we call it topology. So clean topology is very important for a character artist when working with animators, but less so for a concept artist.
I don't give a crap. Because for me, at the end of the day, it's make pretty picture good. And I'm just like, you like it? I'm like, yeah, all right, make it.
Really? When are you gonna start doing that?
All right,
Is that
that's
something
about
new?
time for me to go.
Is this something new?
Oh, man.
All right.
Inside.
Another question from the live chat here. Any plans to have a state of cleanliness visible on the character? So if you're in dirty environments, you'll get dirty until you wash up or take a shower.
Yes, we actually already have that. We have 2 phases of that. We actually have something called dirt and wear. So dirt is exactly what they're talking about. So that means when you go into dirty environments, things get dirty. Makes sense. There will be at some point some type of game mechanic where you can go wash that off. And then wear is the use over time that affects the look of something. It can also, from a design side, affect the stats. So maybe if it's a weapon, it might become less efficient or it might jam. If it's armor, it might lose its stats, or it might become not usable anymore. So yes, we have both of those.
Here's a pretty general question from the thread. How are you progressing in bringing alien characters into the game? Now, I'm going to say that this sounds a little bit like one of those 80s sitcom questions where you phrase the question a certain way so that somebody will accidentally confirm something. Like they're trying to get us to confirm that we're putting playable aliens in the game, which we are not ready to sit here and confirm. But as far as Squadron 42 and whatnot, those bring this. How are you progressing? It's a very general question, but
good. We have been working on, like, as of SitCon, we showed the Xi'an, and we're still continuing on those a lot. We're also working on, like Jeremiah was talking about, the Van Duel, so we're working on the Van Duel.
Hold on, let me do this. Hello?
Put it on
Okay,
speakerphone.
it won't be quiet.
Let the audience hear me.
It won't be quiet. Hello?
He didn't answer it. So we're still working on the Van Duel. What else are we working on?
Yeah, that launches later today. It'll be a whole like
Creatures.
We should have Mike on there for this one.
Still working on creatures.
A lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Egg creatures,
and cheesesteak truck.
gelatinous creatures.
Gelatinous creatures.
No. I'm just thinking of more of those
back
pigs.
Just give me some of that.
All right.
Space whale. What? Who?
Don't mention space whale.
What?
Worms.
What?
Yeah.
You say space whale?
All right, everybody, that's it for Reverse the
about to wrap
Verse.
up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. Now it's just going to be an open panel between Gaige and Jeremiah and myself. We're actually going to play some quick Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh,
Rolling some
okay.
characters
At
right
the end,
now.
that one's gonna come out.
Let's play.
Oh.
You were playing Dungeons and Dragons last night.
I did. It was, they burned down a tavern.
Was it Shane's fault? It was probably Shane's fault.
No, it was actually, James Koo and Elwin's
Really,
fault.
James? What?
Yeah, I was like,
Okay.
you meet two hooded figures in a busy tavern.
Oh, okay.
And they were trying to get information, and Elwin wasn't getting any information, so he hit him in the face.
I love his,
Yeah, that's
his
what
methods.
happened. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
So next question
Yep.
from the live chat. This comes up quite a bit. What do we think about the ability to allow players to dye the armor?
To dye it, like change
Like
colors.
change the
Oh,
that's terminology
I thought,
interesting.
I thought you said die in the armor.
Yeah.
I was like, they already
Yeah,
do.
you're gonna die in the armor. I died in the armor
Yep.
over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's two trains of thought, right? You can either say, you just like in real life, if you go to a store, you're only going to be able to buy what they have available, right? So yeah, in a way that's like dyeing, because you can say, oh, I'm going to pick from whatever color that I want it to be that's available, or maybe I need to go somewhere else to get it, right? Then the other option is I bought something and I want to paint it or change it a different color, which becomes a little bit more complicated because you're talking about customization, which essentially of that piece, which means they're going to be changing the shader itself, which means you need a front end and UI and all that fun stuff. Or you can have them get the option, which is similar to what other games have done, which is it would choose a different color variant that already exists in the
Like
game.
a dye pack. You
Yes.
buy
Yeah.
a dye pack, and
Yes. And it
this is
changes
blue
it.
and black, and
Yes.
then you play
Yeah.
it, and it does it.
Rather than you going around and flying somewhere and buying the blue and black one, and when you have the orange one, you can just purchase it somewhere else. So color variants in general, we're pushing for a lot because we want to add a lot of variation in the existing assets that we already have. So all the clothes, all the armor,
Like the gold executive.
like the
suit.
gold. Yeah, exactly. Like that kind of stuff
Which
is
I
really
love.
fun. There's actually, I think there's 20 variations of that suit. I think we've only released a
Oh, the
couple.
RSI Explorer.
I have the Explorer suit, the Deck Crew suit. There's a bunch. There's like 20 of each.
I like the gold one because it makes me look like Captain Power.
Every time I hear you talk about it, you always say Captain Power.
Captain Power was great.
But yeah, we're definitely working on that, and I think that's more on the design side of how does the player choose it?
Yeah. So basically, it's definitely just to add on there, so that everybody understands. It's definitely something that we're interested in, but it's not something that's on the schedule. It's not something that you're going to see in 2018. It's not something that we know precisely how we want to implement if we want. As anybody who's ever played an MMO before, cosmetic features are also one of the ways that a game can monetize and stuff. So there's a lot of options that have to be explored there.
Sure.
But so not committing ourselves to any path one way or the other. But it is definitely something that I think we can all agree would add greater variety to the verse.
And it is mostly in there too. It's really just implementation is kind of like what we're figuring out.
Yeah.
And actually, what might be interesting to people too is on top of just having the colors, metrics that design wants to get from players using those colors is something we're still thinking about. Like if let's say with all the people in the verse, how many people actually wanted the red version? How many people wanted the gold version?
Right.
And then they can use those metrics to then improve player experience.
I mean, as an avid MMO player myself,
Yeah.
they're the meme that's going around. It's been going around for a couple of years now. End game is always glamour, right? And that's for all MMOs. It's always glamour. You beat the raid boss, but but I want to look pretty, right? So like.
With the raid armor.
Yeah. So
And then
you know.
there's I want the stats on that, but I want it to look like that.
Exactly.
The power
Yeah.
game or the
It's
trade
always-
logs.
Yep.
Yep.
We're aware.
How long can it take to design an armor or clothes from sketches to approval?
From sketches to approval, it depends on what that asset actually is. I've done some which have taken maybe 2-3 days. I've done one, actually a squadron character in 8 hours before. They were like, we need it now. I'm like, so, but it was a very simple character. It wasn't something complex. But then some concepts or some costumes or some armor need some intricacy, right? So there's moving parts, or like there's a special feature of this a specific part of the suit. So the longest I've probably done was maybe a month. I spent like a month fleshing out every angle of the character. So really depends on what the asset is, but it can range from a couple hours to, I guess, a month, I would say. It depends on the level of complexity that character requires.
Plus, it's a creative endeavor.
Right.
So sometimes I see this more on the ship side than on the character side, because I'm more involved with the ships. But sometimes you're just lucky enough to get that right mix of concept and artist, and you're able to hit it right away,
Yeah.
and right out the gate. And you're like, and lightning, it's like lightning struck,
worked.
and you're like,
Yeah.
that's it. You
Right.
hit it and sometimes you chase this thing
Oh,
for
yeah.
weeks
Been a lot of that, yeah.
and weeks, and sometimes there's a ship that we thought we were going to have ready in April, and it's like, nope, push it all the way back to
Whatever,
November
yeah,
or whatever, because this has just been a more difficult birth, and not because it was super complex or anything, not because it was even particularly different than anything else. It's just for whatever reason, those intangibles that are part of any creative endeavor weren't quite lining up.
Yeah, it wasn't quite there yet, and sometimes that's just part of the approval process of saying, is this good? Like, do we like this? Yeah, but could it be better? Yeah.
I imagine
And
that's
try
a
to
big.
push it a little further.
I imagine that's a big part of your job as the art director.
Sure.
Is figuring out what those intangibles for each thing is, and then
it's-
figuring out how to communicate
It's
that.
finding, one thing that you hear a lot with art is like art is never finished, right? So it's basically your time runs out, so or abandoned, sure. But it's kind of choosing where that line is. Is it worth spending an extra week, 2 weeks, month, just on the concept, which is going to make it maybe cooler, to 1% cooler, 10% cooler, 100% cooler, whatever, or and that goes all the way through where it's with the art itself, with the everything till it gets in game, to all those colors. Do all the colors look cool? And then do we release it, or do we? It's kind of finding that balance on everything.
One of the questions from the thread that was voted up on very simply states, tattoos.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would love to have tattoos. I have tattoos, so I want to put tattoos in the game. That's a bias, sure, but
It's the only reason.
yeah, I think it's a cool customization thing that a lot of people want, and I think it's something I know that we've been talking about. We've put them on some of our other characters, like
We
in
did a test
Squadron.
recently too. It was
Am
like,
I
where can
hand
we put 'em
drawing
in?
all the tattoos?
That's right. There was that period you were hand drawing all those tattoos.
Yeah,
Like Tagaka for the
Squadron.
for Squadron that we showed on the Christmas special.
That looked really good. You didn't do
Those those were
Somebody
hand
else.
drawn.
a lot of those were hand drawn. Yeah.
Like some of them I actually drew on a piece of paper.
Yeah, and then you
And
scan
I,
them.
and I scanned them in, and then Michael was like, I can make a brush that does that same texture.
That looks like a pencil.
Yeah, and I was just like, where were you 2 days ago? So, but every single piece on the sleeve, the tattoo, none of that was photos or whatever. It was legit hand drawn.
Yeah, so a lot of it's going to be, when we get to that, creating them. What do they look like? Where can you put them? What's the UI for that?
Do we limit you from changing them once every
Do you
3
create your
months?
own? Yeah.
It's a tattoo. It's permanent. You have to live with that. Yeah. So that would be an interesting restriction on the
God.
character customizer. Everything's fine until you get to tattoos. It's like, nope, you can't change tattoos.
It's like, are you sure?
Exactly. Are you really sure? You have to live with this.
Did you ask
It's like
your
the voice
mom?
of your mother. Are you sure about this? You're gonna be with this the rest of your life. That was not my mother's voice.
I was wondering. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that, and it also goes into like more customization questions, like in the future. So we're talking about at that point, basically doing decals on limbs. So is there potential for doing damage decals? So are we talking about like more designy stuff on that? We've talked semi-recently about other things that could happen with damage. Maybe we're talking in the future about cybernetics. We're talking about replacements. We're talking about fully modifying the character's body, which goes into deeper stuff.
Yes.
But that's not iteration 0.1, right? That's much further down the line.
Okay.
I sense much refactoring in my future. It's a good thing.
Another question from the thread. What happened to the helmets with the opening and closing animations that we saw in 2016?
We were just spreading this around in our chat recently, actually.
Yeah,
They're still there.
On Reddit.
They're still there. We haven't gotten rid of them. We're just, for a little while, we were just trying to figure out how we would do them. There was some shifts in the type of attachment or type of skin or CG.
Yeah, CGA to dot skin and because for a while they were static helmets, then they became skinned helmets because they had some parts that would connect to the undersuits, things like that. And those different item attachment types do change the things we can do with them. So if it's a dot skin, for instance, we can attach it to mannequin and have animations playing, similar to how weapons work. But of course, it depends on. Back then, we didn't solidify it because there were specifications that changed.
Yeah.
We weren't 100% on what these helmets are going to do, how
Right.
players are going to interact with them, what they need. So yeah, it's in flux. I think I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. There's nothing that stops us except for some time to go in and change them and add animations to ones that already could have them or need them or that we want to have them. And I think you'll probably see some of that, especially on some of the more hero helmets that we're wanting to do for Squadron, for sure. And I think as we get into that, you're going to see potential for future, but we're going to play it out in one scenario first.
Okay. Again, we've been avoiding a lot of the questions about the character customizer because, again, we have a whole feature coming in just a couple weeks on ATV. But can we expect to see deeper character customization options such as age? Is that something you put wrinkles on, like old Han versus young Han?
Right. I don't know. I think that's definitely more on the design side. On the art side, it would require the ability to make something age from one texture and overlaying textures
Texture
on it,
blending would be.
which you can texture blend to get that, and then probably end up baking out like a specific texture that saves as that character's texture, which is totally possible. And it's something I know that I know Chris has talked about a long time about aging of characters and stuff like that. So it's something that we're shooting towards. It's more how do we do it right now.
If you don't want to do it, just have Dave Haddock add to the lore that facial moisturizer 940 years in the future is just
No aging.
insane.
It's legit.
So it's you get older. Everybody's like 160 years old or whatever, but everybody's face just looks
beautiful.
great.
Yeah.
That's easily fixed by lore. I can save you all kinds.
Oh,
of
thank
work.
you.
Can save all that.
It's definitely something we're thinking about, though. And how, it's more, not that we are thinking, it's about how.
Yeah. The only part that scares me is not how where you start and where you end. It's the transition from one asset to another. That scares me.
Yeah.
It's just how do we blend the two assets? Because we
Especially
can
in
do
real time,
we could literally you walk past the wall and all of a sudden we just swap assets. That's doable. But
Or the
then,
face shake.
Right, but then we would want the whole transitioning as you're getting older, right? So what does that look like? And that's the part that's scary for me. But
It's similar to the hair. You're saying growing long and short hair. Like the end and the beginning are easy. It's the tween that's hard.
exactly.
And actually, there was some tech that was, I don't want to go too deep into this, but on the DNA side, there was a discovery that, okay, we can do something similar to that, like growing hair, But so technically possible, are visually appealing. That's where, yeah.
It's always a matter of quality control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Well, that's it. You made it.
Hey.
Beginning to end. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say? Anything you want the community to know before we let you go?
No, I don't think so. I think thanks to all the backers and subscribers, obviously, and thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks, Jared.
Well, I can't actually throw to the next segment because JJ is here in the shot, adding a Mr. Potato Man sign to Jeremiah. So let's wait. Guys, we're going to take a short break. We got a neat video for you to watch, and then we'll be right back with the wrap up. So stay tuned. We'll see you in a minute.
I'm so sorry.